Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode. So anyway, I just started pulling wires. Pas terrible, or how I learned to stop worrying and love the French language. I don't want a new screen, I need my icons. I need to fix my screen with new graphic card drivers. New boss, new hell. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. So anyway, I just started pulling wires. This was a minor issue that escalated into a major problem over the course of a phone call. Background: an external branch for where I work had a phone that had been having issues for a few days. After someone drove out there and did troubleshooting in person, it was identified that when it happens you could temporarily fix it by power cycling the phone. Simply unplug the network cable and plug it back in. Story: a new phone was on order but not yet in, and we get another call via cell about the phone not working. The individual is the head of that branch and was upset, but not unreasonably so, about their phone still not working. It was suggested on the call that if they were comfortable with it, they could try pulling the cable to reset the phone instead of someone driving out there. Their response was one of relative confidence with slight hesitation, and I was told I would hear back from them if they couldn't fix the issue. Record scratch before you jump on that. Some background: our staff know this individual fairly well, and they were categorized by the IT department as one of our low problem staff. A person with a basic understanding of tech who we very rarely hear from, and seems to do basic troubleshooting and fix their own problems unless there is a legitimate issue. The IT department knows their husband and father both worked in the IT field. They have built some trust from the IT department, so asking them to unplug the cable from the back of a phone, wait 15 seconds, and plug it back in is well within their known skill set. Back to the story: so the phone call is over, and I will hear back from them if that doesn't fix the issue. About 15 to 20 minutes later, the help desk line rings again. Phone is still not working, Wi-Fi was down, and none of the wired computers on the main desk have internet. What? I remote into the server on site and can verify I can't ping several devices that should be online, so something has definitely gone out. Sounds like a completely unrelated incident, maybe a piece of equipment lost power? So we send IT out to the branch immediately. Two of IT's finest arrive at the branch and go back to the network closet. Several cables had been randomly pulled out of the patch panel. Some of them unlabeled cables, I might add. Remember the previous staff member being told to unplug the phone cable? Oh no, they apparently thought they had IT's blessing to go into the network closet, deduce which cable belonged to the phone, and pulled said cable out of the patch panel. Well, they didn't know which one it was exactly, so about 5 to 6 cables in the phone finally shut off, and they plugged it back in, but that didn't fix the issue. They made an attempt to plug some of the cables back in, but several were put back into a different jacks on the patch panel, and some just were not plugged in at all, knocking out the network connections for several devices and the Wi-Fi equipment. This minor phone issue then turned into a multi-hour fix, as every wall jack needed to be tested for network connectivity to be sure that nothing was missed. The critical devices that had been unplugged had to be traced back to the patch panel and put back on the switch, and made sure to be put on the correct VLAN. We did find out several of the jacks were unlabeled, and that has now been fixed, and the wires that had been put back into the wrong places had to be sorted out. To this day we occasionally talk about that incident, mostly with humor, and for a while had a picture on the wall that indirectly referenced it. Pas terrible, or how I learned to stop worrying and love the French language. This is from back when I was an exchange admin. We had just finished up migrating from Lotus Notes to the new O365 system. It had its hiccups and outages, but it worked for the most part. This is the story of what happened when we implemented multi-factor authentication for everyone's account. It should be noted that this office is located in a French-speaking region, but the unofficial business language is English, meaning that day-to-day business is conducted in English. It should also be noted that I speak French like an American horse. This is not a verbatim conversation. User: bonjour, j'ai un problème pour me connecter à ma messagerie. Gene per pas travailer. Alright, I think to myself, looks like someone is having trouble accessing email. Probably because user needs to set up MFA for first time use. Me, d'accord madame, je peux assist avec votre problème. SVP trouves le procédure pour faire le MFA pour votre compte. Après vous faites ca, vous pouvez accéder votre compte. Okay, ma'am, I can help with that. Please find the procedures for doing MFA on your account attached. Once you do that, you can access your account. User, je sais pas comment. I don't know how. So I call the user and take control of her PC, after a lot of back and forth about quick assist codes. I do the needful and set up her MFA. She receives the SMS code and accesses her account. User, donc à chaque fois que je dois me connecter je dois recevoir ce code? Me, oui, chaque fois vous login sur votre compte, vous doit faire le code comme ca mais, sur Outlook Desktop, c'est en mémoire, donc c'est pas nécessaire chaque fois tu démarres votre PC. Seul si tu accéder par le browser ou par un autre ordinateur. Yes, each time you log into your account, you will have to do the code like that. But on Outlook Desktop, it's in memory, so it's not necessary each time you start your PC. Only if you log in on the browser or on another PC. User, c'est pas terrible. Now this is where it went all wrong. To my English speaking as, this sounds like it's not terrible. As in, it's not so bad. No. So I cut the call, thank her, etc., thinking all the while that she had accepted the outcome, and while it wasn't ideal, it was good enough. Evidently, pas terrible actually means that it's awful. Even worse than terrible. Cut to a few days later. My boss calls me into his office. He's a good guy, best boss I've ever had. He looks out for us and isn't afraid to tell the users when they're being stupid. He's also good at telling them that in a way that makes everyone feel good. Also, he speaks no French at all. Boss, Alex, I got a user complaint for you. She gave a 1 out of 5 for everything. What happened? Me, I told her about MFA and set it up for her. At the end of the call, she sounded a bit despondent about it, but said it's not too bad. Boss, yeah, that's what she said here too, under the comments section. C'est pas terrible, oh well, I guess the 1-star rating was a mistake. I don't want a new screen, I need my icons. This is some years ago, but it's still funny and I'll never forget it, so here is my story. I used to work at an ad agency with lots of POS and key account managers. I was their graphics artist and also their IT tech supporter. One day our boss decided to change the entire interior of the office. Everyone was happy about that, the company was doing well, and we wanted to change the entire interior to something fresh and nice, as a kickoff to our new success and prosperity. OFC, my job was to make sure our IT equipment was top-notch, new computers, new cabling, new screens and all. Most of our staff isn't very IT savvy at all, and this one lady in particular wasn't very tech-oriented, but very stylish and knew her fashion. In fact, she was a rich kid from the richest family in our country at the time, but that's kinda besides the point. I was about to give her a brand new widescreen monitor and she yelled at me, "What are you doing? I'm about to give you a new shiny bigger and better monitor." She said, "Are you crazy? Do you know how many years it has taken me to organize my desktop icons? I have a ton of contact information, PDF files and images I need on my desktop." I tried to explain to her that they would still be there, it's just the screen I'm replacing. She looked at me like I was the crazy one and kept on yelling at me, "You idiot, I have all my shortcuts and documents well organized on that screen. If you replace that screen, I will have to redo years of work." Calmly yet again I tried explaining to her the concept of computers and Windows, that those icons and shortcuts are on her Windows installation on the computer itself, and that the desktop shortcuts and contents will be untouched. She kept on yelling at me, "Untouched? You're quite literally replacing my screen where the icons are you so lost you don't get that?" My coworkers heard this, and they had to literally crawl under their IRL desktops in order to hide the fact they were literally dying from laughter. I was a bit shook by her erratic behavior, so I couldn't even laugh. I tried thinking in layman's terms and imagined from her point of view, with zero computer knowledge, how to explain it to her in a way she would get it. We ended up letting her keep her monitor. There were no way to explain to her this, she just wouldn't understand. She really held on to the monitor as I was going to demo for her that the icons would still be there, but she kept blocking it like her life depended on it. Oh well. I need to fix my screen with new graphic card drivers. This one is hilarious and pretty recent. I now work as a tech support in a rather large corporate. Sometimes we get the most insane crazy calls where people try all kinds of things in order to hide their own wrongdoings. A lady called us about a screen that wasn't working properly on a laptop. She started the conversation by literally ordering me to install her a new graphics driver on her laptop. I asked her why she thinks she needs a new graphics driver for her laptop. We usually auto-update all of those drivers with our usual remote service updates we perform on a regular basis as a part of the service agreement we have with all of our users, and this is usually a routine that is executed on a routinely basis by our own proprietary in-house developed updating system. She told me to just trust her and do my job. She was pretty irate and sounded very stressed out. As you may already know, being an IT tech service supporter is half psychology and half tech. And she being one of our own coworkers, I tried talking casually with her to calm her down and make her feel more comfortable. She told me to just log on already and perform the diagnosis on her laptop and fix the screen. I asked if she could see anything on the screen. She told me no. Well, yes, there were some funny stripes here and there. I asked her if it had worked previously the day before, or if it happened suddenly, or if it was just occurring now and then. She was like, nope, it turned black this morning, and I better just do my job and remote to her laptop and do my job. I could not see her laptop on our system, it was currently offline. She asked me how come. Well, I told her to connect it to the network, Wi-Fi network or similar, so I could log on and service it. But she said, how can I do that if I can't see the screen? Maybe you can connect it to an external monitor if you have one? Well, no, she didn't have that. I asked her how come it's all of a sudden blacked out with those weird lines on it. Well, it was more like cracks in the screen, she said. Cracks in the screen? Really? Like broken glass? Yeah, maybe, she said, sounded nervous. Okay, then is the screen itself broken? She responded, well, yeah, can't you just install the drivers and make it work again? I tried investigating a little further. Okay, how come there's cracks on the screen? She paused for a long time, and then told me she had ran over the laptop with her car. She placed the laptop bag behind the wheel of her car, and forgot it, and ran over it when she backed up. Facepalm, me. What do you say to someone who thinks you can fix a screen that has been cracked to pieces physically, with a graphics driver? I told that story to my fellow IT service desk colleagues. They literally cracked up too. New boss, new hell. Many years ago, I was part of the Unix tech support team managing a set of high-end IBM Power servers, P595s. Our team leader was a cool guy who was a real IBM geek. He was also not confrontational in any way. The company employed a new IT director, and in the way these things always go, he decided to stamp his authority on the data center and called in contractors for an audit of the systems. This happened to be on the week our team lead was heading off on vacation. The auditors turned up and the IT director told us to hand over all the root passwords for the systems as the auditors had scripts they needed to run. Everything went well until just before the end of normal hours. The auditors kicked off their script on a server and the terminal hung. There were mutterings, a shrug of shoulders and a comment of it sometimes does that, it will be a while running, just kick off the others, and we can grab the results in the morning. They then ran their scripts on the remaining servers, noted the hanging sessions, disconnected, and left for the day. Then the phone started ringing, systems were unavailable and customers were complaining. We couldn't get logged into any of the systems, all the connections we tried just timed out. The crap well and truly hit the fan, and eventually a call was received from our team lead along the lines of, "My phone is going mad with alerts, what's happening?" A brief explanation was given and we tried to gain access while he guided us on the phone. Nothing. Eventually he said, "Hang on, I will be there in around 90 minutes. Apparently, he went to the airline desk, rescheduled the family flights, booked his family into a hotel, and then hired a car to drive back to the data center. What had happened was the auditors had run their scripts on the virtual I/O servers on a LPAR partition server. In the heading of the scripts was a note specifically saying, "Do not run this script on a VIO server." The script caused a component of the VIO code to panic and drop the VIO server. Not an issue if you have redundant VIO servers, but a big issue if you run the script on every VIO server one after the other. Instead of looking at why the first session crashed, the auditors just carried on and ran their script on every VIO server in the data center. Every partition lost access to both networks and storage, and we uncovered another issue which was preventing us accessing the VIO server console from the hardware management console. Our team leader left his family at an airport hotel, drove over 90 minutes from the airport, and then spent a good 4 hours fixing the issues, documenting root cause before he left to go back the 90 or so minutes to the airport and fly out a day late on his vacation. I learned 2 things that day. First, some managers put in charge of tech support teams should never have any responsibility given to them, and second, very few companies truly recognize the value of the quiet, unassuming people who have exceptional technical expertise and dedication. The team leader left the company about a year later and, to the best of my knowledge, was never rewarded for his efforts that night.